Dear students, Namaskar and welcome back in the second part of the video tutorial on the phylogenetic analysis. So in the first part, I've already discussed about some basic concepts of phylogenetic analysis, what phylogeny is all about, what are the applications, and what are the different type of data which helps us in tracking the evolutionary history of the organisms. So let's move further to understand the phylogeny in detail. So before we go for deeper understanding of phylogenetic analysis, we should be aware from certain terminologies that we use actually in phylogenetic tree. So here you can see as an example, I have put it the one phylogenetic tree and different terminologies are there that we should understand. So this one, something is written there, some SB bicolor, something is there that I have downloaded from internet actually. And I'm just explaining what are the different terminologies are here. So taxa is simply at the tip of the branches or present day species or sequence. Means at the tip of the branches, whatever the species or sequences are there, simply known as taxa, or you can call it as a terminal point as well. So the singular form of the taxa is known as taxon. So SB bicolor is taxon. SB martinsi is also the taxon. And combinedly, all these are known as taxa. So whatever sequences or species, the present day species are present on the terminal point of the tree, that is simply known as taxa. Then the branch. The line in the trees are called branch. You can see this is the branch. And branch define the relationship between the taxa in terms of descendant and ancestor. Actually, it tells you that which one is the descendant and which one is the ancestor. Then node. The connective point where two adjacent branches join is called a node. See the branch, these are the branch number 1, the branch number 2. So wherever these two branches, these two, either you can take this example SB bicolor and SB martinsi, wherever two branches are joining, that is simply known as node. Or if you take this branch and this particular branch, this is again known as node. So this is the node, this is also the node, this is also the node, this is also the node. So wherever you find that two branches are joining, that's simply known as a node. And it represents an inferred ancestor of extant taxa. And finally the root, the common ancestor of all taxa. This is the root, and here you find the common, that this whatever organism is there or sequence is there, that will be the ancestor of all the taxa. All right. Then topology, the branching pattern of the tree. Whatever the branching pattern of the tree is there, that is simply known as topology. One more concept that is known as branch length. Branch length, you will find several type of trees in which you may find that, for sake of example, I am giving you. See this particular uh, tree. Here you can see the branch length of all the A, B, C, D are same. But here the branch length, this is the branch length of A, B and C, D is different. So in some cases, you may find that branch lengths are unequal, and in some cases, you may find that branch lengths are equal, right? Based on the branch length, there is the different concept of dendrogram, phylogram, and cladogram that I'm going to discuss you later on. Then clade. What do you mean by the clade? Clade means a group of two or more taxa or DNA sequence that include both their common ancestor and all their descendants. A group of two or more taxa. Here you see a group of two taxa, right? So the common ancestor of SB bicolor and SB martinez is this one, and the SM midas and SM niger's ancestor is this one, and the ancestor of this one and this one, the root is same, means the common ancestor. So this group is combinedly known as group of taxa. This SB bicolor, SB martinsi, SM midas, and as of Niger is commonly known as clade. Alright, so this is known as clade. This is the taxa, and group of taxa is known as clade, where all the descendant and all the ancestors should be included. Alright. Operational taxonomic unit, OTU. What do you mean by operational taxonomic unit? So taxonomic level of sampling selected by the user to be used in a study, such as individual, population, species, genera, or bacterial strain. So if I focus myself on this particular figure in this phylogenetic tree, suppose I am studying the phylogenetic analysis of this SF Weddellii. So whatever organism or sequence or protein, whatever I am targeting to study for the phylogenetic analysis or evolutionary relationship, that is simply known as OTU. Means all these are the taxa, but with respect to SF Weddellii, I am studying the phylogenetic relationship. So that will become to know that taxa is going to be called as a OTU. Means my focus will be on this particular SF Weddellii. If you are studying with this one, SB Martinezii, then this will be the OTU for your study. All right. So dendrogram, cladogram, and phylogram. There is three confusing terms. Let's understand what dendrogram, cladogram, and phylogram is all about. So dendrogram is just kind of the generic term applied to any type of diagrammatic representation of phylogenetic tree. For any phylogenetic kind of tree, we generically called as dendrogram. So this tree is also known as dendrogram. This is also again the dendrogram. And dendrogram may be of two types. Number one, cladogram, and number two is phylogram. What is the difference between the dendrogram and cladogram or phylogram is commonly known as phylogenetic tree or dendrogram. Okay, so dendrogram is a kind of generic term. Once I say dendrogram means you will understand that is the kind of the phylogenetic tree. If you see very carefully, then you will come to know that dendrogram is maybe of two types. Number one, cladogram. What happened actually in the cladogram? Cladogram is a tree in which branch length do not represent evolutionary time, right? Clade just represent a hypothesis about actual evolutionary history. Means whatever the branch length you can see here, the branch length of A, B, and C, D are same. So here branch length don't have any relation at all with the evolutionary time, that how many year before, how many million year before that was diversified, right? It just only show you that A and B's ancestor was common and C and D's ancestor was common. It just only show you the relationship. It never show you tell about the evolutionary time. So if branch length are equal in the dendrogram, that dendrogram is known as simply cladogram. And what about the phylogram? Phylogram means is a tree in which branch length do represent evolutionary time, means the branch length is directly proportional to the evolutionary time, and clade represent true evolutionary history, that is amount of character changes over the time. So wherever you see the difference in the branch length of the taxa, that is going to be called as a phylogram. Simple. One more terminology that is known as phenogram. So, although we are not using it right now, very rarely used because due to the limited informative nature. So phenogram are statistically constructed tree again, which indicate only the degree of resemblance or similarity among the taxa. Is just a kind of the cladogram. And phenogram are not phylogram, and the branch length does not indicate genetic change or time scale. So they are very rarely used due to the limited informative nature. Some other terminologies like tree terminologies are there. Some in the tree we use the monophyletic, paraphyletic, and polyphyletic group. What are the monophyletic, paraphyletic, and polyphyletic group? In the monophyletic group, a group in which all members are derived from a unique common ancestor. So if you see this particular figure, in this particular figure, there is the common ancestor. B is the common ancestor of all D, E, C, G, H, F, and the ancestors, all the descendants are included in this particular group. So this group is going to be called as a monophyletic group. So wherever you see, wherever there is the all the descendant of a common ancestor are there, we are not going to leave anyone. If we include all the descendant of a common ancestor, that group is known as monophyletic group. The second one is known as paraphyletic group. You see this particular example. Paraphyletic group means a group that excludes some of the descendant of the common ancestor. Here you see that the common ancestor of J, K, and I is A, and the some other descendants are also there of A, that is B, C, F, D, E, G, H, but we are not including in this these the B, C, D, E, G, H in our study. So simply we can call it as the paraphyletic. Means wherever there is a common ancestor but all the descendants are not being included, that is simply known as paraphyletic group. Next is known as polyphyletic group. Polyphyletic group means a group in which all members are not derived from a unique common ancestor. Here you see that E is derived from C and G is derived from F. So all the descendants are not originated from the unique common ancestor. Here you can see the ancestor of E is C and ancestor of G is F. So such type of group is known as polyphyletic group. The common ancestor of the group has many descendants that are not in the group. Here, one more example you can see here. You can easily identify the monophyletic, paraphyletic, and polyphyletic. If you see this one, the monophyletic, because the common ancestor is there. The common ancestor here, this point is the common ancestor of H, I, and J. So you can find out the common ancestor of all the descendants are included. So this is simply known as monophyletic. All right. And if you see the paraphyletic, the common ancestor of this is the common ancestor of all A, B, C, D. But here in this study, I left purposefully A. So all the descendants of this particular ancestor is not included here. That's why this group is known as paraphyletic group, because I have omitted A. Regarding the polyphyletic group, here you can see the ancestor, the descendants like E and F and G's ancestors are not common. So that's why this is known as polyphyletic group. Okay. So a polyphyletic group yellow box does not include the common ancestor of the group. Few more concept, like this is the very simple kind of the phylogenetic tree. Like here the taxon I have given the name B, C, A, D, E. So you can see the two type of spacing, like spacing one horizontally and another vertically, and another the horizontal, the length, the spacing between taxon B and taxon C. So no meaning to the spacing between the taxa or to the order in which they appear from top to bottom. Means whatever space we are putting it, that don't have any meaning at all. So this dimension either can have no scale. If no scale is there, that is simply known as cladogram. And this one, the horizontal one, it may be proportional to the genetic distance or amount of change. Means as much changes happen during the course of evolution, the branch length will be more. If a less mutation takes place, the branch length will be less. Okay. Or can be proportional. So this branch length in some cases may be proportional to the time or may be proportional to the genetic distance or amount of changes. So this is the simple phylogenetic tree. If I want to show in the form of the file format, so simply see this representation. The ancestor of the taxon B and C are closer, right? Both have the same common ancestor. So here in this particular bracket, I have put it B and C. What about D and E? D and E have the common ancestor, and the ancestor of B and C and the ancestor of taxon A were the same. So what I am doing, outside the B and C, I put it A, and then now you balance the brackets. So this is the simple representation of the phylogenetic tree. If you have been given this format is known as Newick format, Newick, Newick format of the phylogenetic tree. So if you have been given this particular this bracket and all, then you can easily construct the phylogenetic tree based on these brackets and all, opening and closing of the brackets. So while we will deal with the phylogenetic tree construction, there actually we save the file format in the form of the Nuke format, and whatever any softwares are there, the tree visualization software, they convert this Nuke format in the form of this tree. That we'll see later on in the practical session. Equivalent tree. What are the equivalent trees? Here you can see the moss, fern, pine, and rose. And here you see, you just focus yourself on the rose. Here you see pine and rose. Okay. So what is the difference between this particular tree and this tree? Here you may find that the ancestor of pine and rose were the common, and here the ancestor of rose and pine were the common. So is there any difference? There is no difference. Either you can put pine first, then you can put rose, or vice versa. There is no difference. So this is just simply what the shuffling of the taxa. So shuffling of the taxa doesn't make any change in the meaning of the trees. So that's why this is known as equivalent trees. And here you also see the pine and rose. Here the relationship between the pine and rose is same. So such type of trees are known as equivalent trees. For any speciation event on a phylogeny, the choice of which lineage goes to the right and which one goes to the left is arbitrary. You can put anyone. Either you can put rose first, then you can put pine, or vice versa. So these three phylogenies are therefore equivalent. That is not going to, all these three have the same meaning. They are not going to make any difference. What are the different representation of the phylogenetic tree? You will find several type of phylogenetic tree in the research papers or in the books. So what are the names, different names of this phylogenetic tree? So if you find such type of tree, this is known as a rectangular tree. What happened in the rectangular tree? This representation is well suited for both rooted and unrooted tree. I will discuss what rooted and unrooted trees is all about. And such trees are most easily understood, very easy to understand. The branches connecting the taxa are separated by a vertical line. See, this is the Gia maize and Oryza sativa. Right? So Gia, the one taxa, Oryza is another taxa. The branches connecting the taxa are separated by a vertical line. This is the vertical line, right? Of an arbitrary length, the length of this vertical line is arbitrary. You can increase it or you can decrease it. It don't have any meaning, right? So the midpoint of the vertical line indicate the internal node. The midpoint of this vertical line indicate the what internal node. And representing the hypothetical, it represents the hypothetical common ancestor of the taxa, which is not available at the present time. Between two taxa being connected. All right. So Gia and Oryza both have the branches, right? And both branches are connected by one vertical line. Vertical line. If you are talking about the phylogram, I told you that the branch length may vary. It may increase or decrease. And if it is the cladogram, then definitely the branch length is going to be same. But this vertical line don't have any relation at all with any kind of the changes. You can increase or you can decrease. That's not a problem. Then another type of the representation of the phylogenetic tree is straight tree. What is the difference between the straight tree and rectangular tree? You can easily find out that here the vertical line, whatever we have put it in the rectangular tree, that is absent, right? So the rectangular tree are modified to straight tree by joining the taxa to the respective internal node directly. There is no vertical line used, which make the appearance of the tree more convergent towards the common system. One more type of representation we can find out in the different softwares of which we use for the phylogenetic analysis. So the circular tree is also suitable for both rooted and unrooted trees, can be depicted by a circular tree. At the distance from the center denote the branch length. Right? Means this is the center. So whatever the branch length is there, see, this is the branch length, this is the branch length, this is the branch length. Denote the, so this is the branch length and distance, and whatever you see in the periphery, see, this is the periphery, this is the periphery. Just like in the case of the rectangular tree, we have put at the vertical line. Likewise, the peripheral line is there, and this peripheral line don't have any meaning at all, right? The only thing matter, this is the branch length. Branch length matters, and this peripheral line don't have any meaning at all. Okay, so these are different representation of the phylogenetic tree. Now, another type of the tree, the type of tree is two type of trees may be there: the rooted tree and unrooted tree. You can see just simply the rooted tree. If you see this particular tree, here you may find that the ancestor of A and B was some common ancestor was here, and the ancestor of C and D was here, and both these hypothetical ancestors were the common ancestor, right? So here you may find the common ancestor. So wherever you find the common ancestor in such type of tree is known as a rooted tree. So in rooted tree, a single node is designated as a common ancestor and a unique path lead from it through evolutionary time to any other node. However, in unrooted tree, here you see just only A and B is closely related and their ancestors were common. C and D were related and their ancestors were common, but you will not find any common ancestor of all A, B, C, and D. So such type of trees are known as unrooted tree. So wherever you do the phylogenetic analysis, we get the unrooted trees, and unrooted trees can be converted into rooted tree. So that concept we'll discuss later on in the later part of the video tutorial. So roots can actually be assigned to unrooted tree through the use of an outgroup method. We'll see later on. So how many number of sequences you have? Suppose you have number of sequences as a 10. Then how many type of number of unrooted trees are possible, or how many number of rooted trees are possible? So just by the help of the parent paper, you have to figure it out. So obviously, was the number of suppose 10 type of 10 number of sequences you have, how many number of rooted or unrooted trees are possible? So by simply using one mathematical formula, you can calculate that for a particular problem, how many number of unrooted and rooted trees are possible. So if you have to just mug up this particular formula, 2n minus 5 factorial divided by 2n minus 3 n minus 3 factorial. So here if you put the number of sequences, how much you have, suppose I want to calculate that if I have the number of sequences as 3, then how many number of unrooted trees are possible. So what I can do, I can put the 3 at the place of n. So what will be there? 2 multiplied by 3 minus 2 by 3, 2 3 will be 6 minus 5 means 1. 1 factorial will be 1, right? And 1 minus 3, so 3 minus 3 will be 0. 2 to power 0 means 1. And 3 minus 3 means will be 0, 1. So the answer will be your 1. So likewise, if total number of rooted tree you want to calculate, you simply put your number of sequences in this particular formula, and you will come to know that how many number of rooted and unrooted trees are possible. So these are basic concepts. More concepts we discussed about the phylogenetic tree. We'll soon upload the video tutorial part number 3 on the phylogenetic analysis. Hope it's contributing in your knowledge, and you are enjoying the phylogenetic analysis series. See you very soon. Till then, take care. Namaskar. Jai Hind.